Hail and well met, 'tis I, Bard, they, them, and she, her, welcoming you, dear adventurer, to the mad realm once again. And in today's tale of mortality, I shall tell you about ruins and mortal domains of rule. One and the same, only differed by time and the presence of humanity to maintain it. For one gives way to the other oftentimes in Ascenscia, and these two are not mutually exclusive. A domain of rule may have many ruins, and a ruin may itself be now a domain of rule. But I shall tell you more about that later. So please, let me tell you about these flickering candles in the darkness of the world, that whether they are new, recycled from the wax of past burnings, or are on the last legs, or nearly mean another flame to ignite its spark again, I shall tell you about them. For whence and after the aeon began, for thousands of years humanity has carved effigies of itself within monuments erected to its glory and conquest against the loathsome darkness. By its own hands or the decay of apathy, humanity's greatness crumbles in the bosom of the temples devoted to voracious scavengers. Ruins litter the entirety of the planet. Lost histories are etched in the broken foundations of empires who thought their cadavers would never feed the next generation of power. Archaeologists sent forth by half-insane scholars and plunderous hierarchs guide their amassed teams of workers into the harsh wilds to uncover the bodies of ancient glories. Ruins can be found as deep as the realm below from the ancient days when humanity laid claim over the subdued wilds. Within these crumbling monuments are artifacts imbued with sorcerous memories and reverence for the past. Kings and scholars will pay fortunes for the depths of rumored sites of yore to be pillaged. Expeditions into the unknown for artifacts of all sorts is an affair of great import, with many joining to serve as a chance to reclaim past glories to further the new and future ones. Often, what is not understood is that within ruins are the emotions of the lost. It is rare on Ascenscia for ruins to come from the decay of neglected infrastructure. Undead and immortals prowl the remnants of humanity's accomplishments, a reminder that for every encroaching beast or root not culled, a settlement faces annihilation. Once these forces have been banished, then begins the back-breaking toil. Pick and shovel carve away earth and coffins, bucket by bucket, for days without end. Heedless of the plight of the worker, overseers driven to madness whip their fellow person into a death frenzy with promises of wealth. At any moment, these misbegotten souls may find themselves voraciously feasted on by disturbed horrors or crushed under a collapsing structure. Some simply die from working until their bones crack. Unlike the founding of a settlement, sponsors of the dig will continue funding digs, for if they may steal the power of the hallowed dead, then all costs are worth it. Some rare settlements or cities are built atop ruins, often capital cities, are caught in an insanity all their own. Persons born within the city take aspects of the dead and do not evolve personally. They replay the same tragedies generation after generation until death is a mercy for those nostalgia-ridden demagogues, spouting tongues none have spoken for years and striking any person they deem to be degenerate. When a ruin or artifact is found, a profound melancholy and surge of joy wells in the hearts of all whom behold. Trembling hands reach out to touch the hewn materials, while knees buckle in awe of the presence of humanity's legacy. Memories spark within the mind of whom the crafters were, an emotion comparable to beholding the brilliance of an immortal, yet far beyond washes over any present. It is as if seeing birth and death all at once. Ascensians hold great reverence for ruins and the signs of humans who have since passed. Every pain and ecstasy that is now was then. The stars beheld now were beheld by the same people whom were born and died thousands of years ago. Now listen to this word from one who has come and gone, lost and been lost, loved and been loved. I do not fear death, nor life, for I know that there shall always be humanity, and that the unknown country, both on the mortal realm and on another plane, awaits our kindred distant and not, where we may all join hands and release the breath of life, where our most base sounds cry of virtues and vices in equal measure, and where our legacy, humanity's legacy, lies in the stones of this world. We are of one heart, one blood, from the first hewn stone to the last, we are one. Humanity's dominance and the desire for connection with other mortals leads to the formulation of domains in all forms. Around Ascenscia, dominions of all kinds scrape at the edges of the abyss to ascend the corpses of dead kings and silenced gods, from monarchies and theocracies to anarchies and democracies. These domains of rule are fledgling in nature, aspiring to the vaunted days of glory without remembering that at any moment the thread of fate for them may be cut, so a new fiber may be tied onto the end. On a practical level, the many peoples inhabiting an area only allow these sovereignties to exist because they believe it is needed for their survival. The art of statecraft is a complex affair between the fallacies of mortals and the needs of humanity. Many are unaware they are governed until a rider from afar tells them so and enforces it with a fist of iron or lavish gifts. What defines a good and evil ruler is varied culturally and historically from individual to individual. Ascensians believe that a ruler is elected on a basis of worthiness, but as to where the worth stems from differs. Generally, Ascensians are apathetic to most dealings of the state, for their problems are more human and immediate than the long plots of nation builders. No monarch can claim to have absolute power over their people, for there shall always be rivalries between those with the greed for power. The rule of a person is accepted by Ascensians by the power they wield and how they wield it. The adage, might makes right, is a laughable sentiment espoused by the weak, for even a mighty warlord can be felled by a dagger wielded by a young child. Furthermore, the presence of venturers, beasts, and magic is cause for more fluid notions of control. Trials before mortal and immortal are performed to test the worthiness of an aspiring hierarch. These trials are grueling battles of wit and muscle in front of spectators of every echelon of society. If the aspirant proves themselves able to handle the power granted, they will keep it, otherwise be deposed. They must give what they can to their people at every moment, or remember that they are mortal. Defiance burns in the heart of every Ascensian if they feel their hierarch is unfit to rule, for to do so is an affront to the immortals themselves. A common logic is that only the power of the gods can support a ruler truly. If the gods are given their supplications, like baying dogs at the feet of their masters, they too shall give their power to the most depraved of persons. Many founders were divinely ordained and led crusades of conquest to carve their domains, and their descendant governors carry the legacy of the first favored. Domains free from tyranny, great and small, are ever the target for hierarchs' greed and anger. By the will of the gods are monarchs given power. Denying the power of the state is to deny the immortals. Only by the fervent will of independence do such lands survive. Now, hear these words from one who has come and gone, lost and been lost, loved and been loved. When the first beast encroached upon our ancestors' lands, we looked to the strong hunters of old to defend us. When the first devils broke the skies with their armies of cultists, we looked to the godly warrior kings of old to preserve us. Now there is nothing but beasts and devils. What choice is there, then, but to not give ourselves to those who tell the hunters where to level their spear, and who tell the warrior kings where to draw their swords? Thank you, dear adventurer, for listening to this tale of mortality. And until we meet again next time, for my time here to tell you about the world of Ascenscia is nearly done. At least for now. May chaos reign. Bye-bye. Tales of Mortality is a world-building podcast set in the world of Ascenscia, created and owned by Bard, me, over 18 years and counting. It is a fantasy world of horror and madness, a planet wracked by mutation and magic, where humanity survives only through itself in the Spirit Indomitable against horrors natural and unnatural. The Worldbuilder writer, producer, and artist of the thumbnail and video art is Bard, me. A transcription of lore is featured down below, as well as my Instagram, Bard of the Mad Realm, where you can see any and all further art for Ascenscia, as well as miniatures that I will be painting. Same for terrain that I will be building for future videos. Thank you all for listening, and may chaos reign. Bye-bye!